Hi, Conrad White here with episode 16 from the Success Council. Today I saw the mainstream media kick into full gear, explaining the evils of advocating secession. As you can see here, these folks are what we refer to as the Looney Tunes fringe of the electorate. And this one, anybody signing a secession petition should be deeply ashamed. The petition soils the memory of those who fought this battle before. This video will not attempt to choose a side on this debate, merely understand the principles at play and decide if secession is a legitimate, inalienable right. We don't have to look too far to find one of the most eloquent explanations of secession. The United States was founded on the secession from Great Britain, and Thomas Jefferson enshrined the principles in the first and second paragraphs of the Declaration of Independence. When, in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another. Dissolving political bands is the definition of secession. It goes on. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator and certain unalienable rights, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. I agree with Jefferson. In order for a government to be just, it must have the consent of the governed. If at any time they withdraw their consent, and government refuses to relinquish their control, then the government becomes unjust. So let's run a hypothetical. Let's say 10 years from now, Texas has a vote and 70% want to secede from the United States. Accordingly, Texas tries to peacefully secede from the federal government. They stop receiving federal funds, obeying federal laws, and paying federal income tax. Now, let's assume that the federal government refuses to allow Texas to secede and uses its standing army to make Texans pay taxes and obey federal laws. Under these circumstances, it is clear the feds do not have the consent of the governed, the Texans. So if Texas is not free, it is enslaved to the federal government. Just like a slave, they have no say in whether or not they want a master or who it is. Does anyone argue that the master has the right to decide for the slave? Maybe the master says, "Texas, you can't defend yourself on your own. You need me to protect you." Or maybe the master says, "Slave, you are too silly to know what is good for you. I will force you to remain my slave for your own good." Once you enter into this master-slave relationship, you no longer have the consent of the governed. That is why Jefferson was clear that the people should decide what government is best for them, not the government and not other people. He nor anyone else would suggest that the people of Colorado should vote on whether or not Texas has the right to secede. That makes Colorado the master. So, for our mainstream media friend who claims secessionists soil the memory of those who fought this battle before, I say it is you who emulate the mentality of King George, slave owners, and all tyrants of the past who claim intellectual superiority and indeed ownership of other human beings, as you tell them what is best for them. Each individual or group has the right to decide what is best for themselves. Anything else is slavery. In part 2 of this video, we will show a quick clip of Ron Paul who cuts through all the BS and explains the issues rather succinctly. Then in part 3, the part I think you will enjoy the most, we will look into the psychology of those who think secession is not a right. Thanks for all of the kind feedback on episode number 15, The Illusion of Choice, one of our most highly rated on dailypaul.com.